So IoT is the Internet of Things. So basically your Google Home, your Alexas, your Nest thermostats, your robot vacuums, all the different types of home automation systems that have come up in the last few years, these are all IoT devices. There are also security systems that do whole house security monitoring. They're also IoT devices. And then wearables. So smartwatches. Again, everybody's heard of either the Apple or the Android family of smartwatches. And there are also medical sensors that you can wear, which does the digital communication, monitors your heart rate, monitors your blood sugar level, different types of digital devices that do medical scanning and that you wear them on your body at all times, right? So those are there. So I want to take a pause here before we go deep into the computers and the mobile devices. Any questions about this? Please unmute yourselves if you have a question.
No question, but this is really good. I love it.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so we'll keep going then. So now that we have a basic understanding of what a digital device is and also the different types, like I mentioned, we want to go deep into the first two categories, the personal computers and the mobile devices. So let's talk about computers first. So personal computers broadly will classify them as desktops, which are a standalone CPU and then a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse that you need to attach externally to use that personal computer, right? And then the other category is laptops, where the screen, the keypad, and the keyboard are all built in, which makes the laptops a little more portable. You can bring them, carry them wherever you need to go. One other way of classifying personal computers is based on the operating system, right? So again, there are a few other flavors, but broadly and in terms of popularity, in terms of market depth, these are the two categories that are the most popular, right? Windows and Mac, which is Apple, right? So the Macintosh brand is Apple's brand, right? They have both desktops and laptops, same thing. Windows, a lot of manufacturers make Windows, make machines that run on Windows operating system, Dell, HP, Toshiba, the list is long. But again, they come in both the desktop and the laptop category. So you, again, if you've used a computer, chances are high that you've used either a Mac or a Windows. Right? In terms of market depth, Windows is definitely significantly more popular than the Apple brand. The Apple operating system is a little different. And so it takes getting used to, especially if you're transitioning from using a Windows system to the Apple to the Mac, it takes some getting used to. But once you get used to it, it's actually pretty powerful as well. Okay. Jumping onto mobile devices. Again, broad classification, phones, the smartphones, and the tablets. Okay. At a very high level, these are the two broad categories of mobile devices. There are a few others, there's tablets, and there's like an in-between category, but we don't need to worry about it because for all practical purposes, these are the only two that any of us will ever work with. Right? And again, going into the operating systems for mobile devices, there are two, the most popular are Android and Apple. Right? So again, Android makes phones and tablets, Apple makes phone and tablets. Right? Android, manufacturer-wise, a lot of different manufacturers that make Android devices, Samsung being the most popular, but then there's a whole slew of others that are in the market. Apple is a proprietary operating system, the iOS operating system, which is exclusively for Apple devices, Apple phones, and Apple tablets. Right? Now, if you think about Apple phones or Apple tablets versus Apple computers, right? The experience is exactly flipped, right? I think the Apple devices are the most popular, and they also have, in my opinion, the easier user interface, right? So it's easy to learn how to use it and to stay up with it. Android has a lot of changes that you can make, which is why it sometimes gets overwhelming, because out of the box, Android is okay to use, right? But the power of Android devices is truly in the customizations that you're able to do. Was there a question?
Excuse
Sorry?
me?
Yeah, was there a question? Okay, maybe just some background noise. Okay, so yeah, so broadly, these are the classifications for computers and mobile devices. Now we get into the topic of the hour, which is, which device should I be using? Okay. Now, honestly, it's not a question I can answer. It's not a question I can answer because it depends on what you want to do, right? So it's not a straightforward, oh yeah, use this, right? There's no black and white there, right? But I do want to start with a visual of what the market penetration for these devices is, right? So the blue in this pie chart is desktops or computers. The green is tablets, right? Which is literally a sliver, right? And then the orange is phones, right? And this is what we see around us as well, right? Everybody has a phone, right? Some people have more than one phone, right? Some people also have computers, but not everybody has a computer, right? And the tablet market is really, really tiny, right? So I mean, it's probably, again, from all pertinent discussions, right? We can maybe even exclude the tablet because it seems like it's not a very popular choice anyways, right? So jumping into what do you plan to do with your device, right? So I will, over the next few slides, talk about some scenarios, right? If this is what you plan to do with your device, here's what I would recommend, right? Or here are some pros and cons of the different, I mean, mobile versus computer, right? I mean, I'm going to stick to very broadly phone or computer, right? I mean, obviously, when you think computer, you'll also have questions of, well, should I buy a laptop? Should I buy a desktop? What are the differences? We'll get towards the end into some of the comparisons between desktop versus mobile, but that's really what I'm trying to achieve here, right? Is just at a broad level, depending on what you plan to accomplish, what makes the most sense, or what are some of the advantages versus the vis-a-vis the disadvantages of other devices. Okay, right. So first off, whoops, I think I just messed up. Give me 1 second. Okay, everybody see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, apologies for that. All right, so if you're trying to do just the basics, right? Browse the internet, send and receive some emails, send messages, right? And by messages, I mean, things like this, right? You're trying to send text messages, use WhatsApp, use a calendar to make some notes on special events or important tasks that are coming up, appointments that are coming up. You want to look at YouTube videos. You want to browse the internet for some very, very, very basic things. Any device will do. Right? And if you already have a mobile phone, because everybody has a mobile phone, you will be just fine using a phone, a smartphone, to achieve this, right? If you're trying to do things that can only be done while you're on the move, things like, what's the weather like where I am right now? Get me Google Maps or Apple Maps, right? I want to take a photo, right? Again, things like this, right? You're trying to do things that are location dependent or are directions that need mobility. In that case, you have to have a mobile device. You can't expect to open up a laptop and try to do this. I mean, you could, but it's not smart. Another thing that you can do with your mobile devices is language keyboards, right? I want to type a message in Gujarati or Hindi, right? you can do that on your mobile device. You can also do it on your computer, but it's a lot easier to do it on your mobile device where, the language keyboard, the virtual language keyboard just opens up, and you can, if you're comfortable writing in Gujarati, but you're not comfortable writing in English because you don't feel like you could do it, language keyboards are an option. And it's a mobility thing as well, right? Same thing. If you're somewhere and in a foreign country, for instance, or, even within India, in a place where you don't know the local language, you can use the translate option. Right? Type up what you want to say, and it'll give you the translation in the language that you don't know. Or take a copy or take a picture of what it is that you're seeing on a sign, for instance, and it'll translate and tell you what they're trying to tell you, or at a restaurant menu, at a train station, right? All the things that you'd be struggling with if you didn't have technology, you can do now. Another thing that, in my opinion, is safe and smart to do on your mobile device is banking. The mobile devices by themselves come with a lot of inbuilt security. Right? So as long as you're keeping up with the operating system upgrades, right? When it says, oh, new iOS ready to install, and you say yes and just do it, it's very safe. The banking apps on the mobile devices also have security built into them. And so this is safe to do on your devices. Right? Obviously, I mean, if you lose your password, then that's a different story altogether, right? But these are things that, so for the most part, what do people do when they're trying to bank on their phone or on their computer, right? They're trying to transfer money, pay somebody, deposit a check your balance, right? Check your credit card history to make sure there weren't any fraudulent transactions. All of these things are very convenient to do on your mobile device, and it's safe as well. So another thing that I would recommend, if you were trying to achieve, you're trying to bank and just basic banking, right? Obviously, you can't go open a locker on your mobile device, right? But any of the basic things you could use your mobile device for.
Can I ask you a question before we go further?
Sure.
So you came right before these slides about the language and translate. So for translate, you had to download the app, or how that works?
So Google Translate is fantastic. You don't need to do much. Just go to Google and say Google Translate, and you give them the languages: Spanish to English, Portuguese to English, Telugu to Hindi.
Okay,
right?
okay.
And Google Translate will do a fantastic job for you.
There was another question, by the way, Hemal, on the chat. I think somebody has put it there. If you want to take it right now.
Sure. What?
All these devices need to be connected with internet line, ? So.
Correct. So it depends again on what you want to do, right? You could have a computer that is not connected to the internet, but then what would you do, right? You can't do emails. You can't do messaging. You can't do calendar. I mean, you could save it locally on your computer. You could have documents. You could have books. You could have videos that you have stored already on your computer. You could look at those. But that would be a very limited experience. For anything that, like if you want to use WhatsApp on your computer, or you want to send emails or receive emails, you would need an internet connection. That is correct.
There is one more thing there that says that Google Translate does not give option of Gujarati. Is that right?
I have never tried it because I guess I never needed to translate Gujarati, but I will find out.
Right. They may not
and
have that.
If that is true, then I'm sure there are other apps that do a fantastic job. I can find out. There's somebody else that has raised their hand. Sorry.
One more question.
Yes, please.
One more question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the whatever we speak, it is get written into text.
Yes.
So that could be possible in Gujarati also.
I will have to find out. Speech talk to text is a device feature today. There may be apps that can do talk to text, but right now talk to text is limited to English because it's a Android or iOS feature on the phone. But I will find out. I need to just take notes on this, Kirtida. And can you do me a favor and take notes for me?
Yeah, sure. I will do
Thank you. Appreciate that. Right. So we've had two questions, Google Translate for Gujarati, and then we've had the talk to text question so far that I need to do some research and come back.
So Hemal, you said that it is only possible with the Android. So it is not possible with the Apple phone?
No, talk to text it's iOS as well as Android. So iOS, by iOS, I mean the Apple operating system.
Okay.
So it is possible on both devices today. I think what I don't know is the Gujarati talk to text, right? If I was to dictate in Gujarati, whether it would be able to type it in Gujarati for me and send it out, right? So yes, go ahead, please.
Do we have to download Google app to translate in languages? Google app?
No. You could open.
So how do you do that?
So if you are on a app, are you on an Apple device or an Android device?
Apple device.
Apple. So you could open Safari, the browser, on your phone, and just type www.google.com. And when the Google window opens up, you can say translate Spanish to English. And
so how do you convert that to, if you want to send a message on WhatsApp or...
So if you want to have I misunderstood your question, sorry.
Someone else is talking, please.
I think we need to mute somebody. Okay, I think I just muted them. Okay, so sorry. So I misunderstood your question. So if you're trying to get the Gujarati keyboard so that you can type Gujarati messages, then yes, you need an app for that.
So what kind of app? Google app?
The one app that I know that works really well, it's called Kakko. Kakko. Kakko.
Kakko.
Kakko. Kakko. આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં કક્કો કહીએ ને?
નહીં કહું. Gujarati, no.
Okay, you don't speak Gujarati. Okay, so that's specifically for Gujarati. If you need to type Gujarati messages, then you use that app. If you want Hindi or a different language,
then we need to type in Hindi. तो हिंदी में कौन सा ऐप है?
अच्छा, हाँ, तो हिंदी में कौन सा ऐप यूज करना है मैं ढूंढ के मैं आपको नेक्स्ट टाइम बताऊँ.
अच्छा, okay, thanks.
No problem. But Google Translate has a Gujarati also. There is 100 languages. Gujarati is also there.
So it is.
Yeah. So that is already answered. The first question is answered now.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, actually, I am using this app, Google Translate in Gujarati.
Okay.
Gujarati to English or Gujarati to Hindi. So that's how I know it about that. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. So I personally am fluent in Gujarati, Hindi, and English. So if you want me to answer your question in a specific language, please let me know.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. There was one other person that had raised their hand. Is there more questions? Please unmute yourself and then you can ask.
I had a question. This is Kalpana Gandhi. And I had a question that you said you can have a safe access to your cell phone for the banking and all, right? But we get lots of WhatsApp messages that people try to talk to you and then they get access to your bank account through your cell phone and they withdraw all the money. So how does that system goes? Like, because I use the bank through the cell phone, but then I get scared sometimes when I hear such WhatsApp messages and all.
Yeah, so I think the scams, there are different types of scams. Obviously, the scammers are very innovative as well. They are one step ahead all the time, right? But typically, they would need you to give them something. They can't just call you and talk to you and get access to your phone or your device, right? That's not going to happen, right? They'll need you to grant them access. And as long as you're careful about not doing that, right? Like, for instance, if you're trying to bank in India, there's always the two-factor authentication, right? There is a OTP, right? If you don't share that to unsecure sources, you should be okay, right? It's not like they can call you and while you're talking to them, they can hack into your phone, right? That's a very advanced and very mature hacker if they're doing that, but that's not common.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep, sure. Other questions? Okay, whoever had their hand raised, I don't know if we addressed your question, but yeah, please go ahead.
The Apple phone has a Google Translate. Is that the one app you're talking about? So
yes.
You can.
Yes. That's for translations. For the keyboard, it's a different app.
One more question.
Yes, please.
This may be available, whatever we are taking the video of this session. So this may be available for future. Somebody is missing this and they can have.
Yes, we are recording the meeting and we will have the recording on the YouTube format with the link, and it will be available for everyone.
Wow, thank you.
Sure.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
so
we're trying to do everything what we can do.
Okay, so we'll move forward again. So we had talked about how I feel like for the basic level of banking interactions, a mobile phone will suffice. The next thing I wanted to talk about was health. So for the most part, from health's perspective, on a regular basis, what we are doing is either trying to figure out providers based on our insurance or make payments based on, our insurance or based on the bills that we've received from our providers, or look at test results or lab results, or, doctor's notes, right? So whether you're trying to do my chart or trying to get to your insurance details, that is another thing that works fairly well on phones. Because if you're trying to do a very elaborate search of, how many providers are there, or which is the best provider, what are the reviews, a lot of detailed review, you might want to shift that type of research to a computer. But for basic interactions with, lab results, appointment reminders, insurance payments, bill payments, insurance coverage information, right? Again, phone works really well. And this is secure as well, right? I mean, and I know that anybody here that is from the healthcare industry or has a background in healthcare will tell you that HIPAA compliance is a huge, huge, huge deal for both insurance providers as well as medical services providers. And the app that they provide for Android and for Apple are secure. Like, of course, if your login information gets stolen, different story altogether, right? But that, even if you're using a computer or whatever, you could get into trouble with that, right? But as long as your information is secure, these apps are secure as well. Okay. Now we'll start moving into things that like collaboration, right? Trying to do video conferencing, or trying to attend virtual meetings like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet, right? Something like what we are trying to do here today, right? Where somebody's sharing their slides or their screen that you need to look at. They're also talking, and there are multiple people, there are 50 people in this meeting that are all on video, or at least some of them are on video. And you want to interact with them as well, right? So you're talking to multiple people, you're looking at a screen, and you're listening to some speaker talking. All of these things get difficult to do on a phone, right? And I'll explain why. Because the real estate, the amount of space on your phone screen is fairly limited, right? And trying to look at a presentation and a speaker and all of that, right, on a phone. And I'm sure a lot of you here are on your phones while you're attending this meeting, right? You can either look at me or you can look at my screen. You can't do both, And you can't definitely look at who else is in the meeting. And if they have their video on, what are they saying, right? All of that gets kind of challenging to do on a phone. Right? It's certainly possible, right? There are apps for Zoom and for Microsoft Teams and for Google Meets and for other video conferencing technologies as well, these being the most popular. But because of the limited size of the screen for a phone, this can get challenging on a phone. On an iPad or on an Android tablet, certainly doable. And then on a computer with a larger real estate screen, more convenient, in my opinion. Okay. Another thing that is possible on phones, but can get difficult, is trying to do travel bookings, especially if you're trying to research. Oh, I want to go to India sometime in June. Let me look at what the different flight options are, what the pricing is. Am I going to go through Europe or go through Middle East, right? Which one is, has a longer layover? Which one has the shorter layover? How long will I get to spend in India? All of those types of comparisons, for instance, right, get difficult on the phone. At that point, you have to move to a computer to be able to do that research. On the other hand, if you're trying to book an Uber, you're somewhere on the road trying to just get a cab or Uber, right? That's not going to work with a computer. It's possible, but it's just going to be more convenient to do it on your phone, because you can track your driver, you can call your driver, you can figure out where they are, where you are, where should they come to pick you up, right? All of those things get a lot easier if you are on a phone. Shopping. Again, if you are trying to do basic shopping, I know what I'm getting and I know what I want, right? Very convenient to do on the phone, right? I have my shopping list of 5 things. I want bread, I want butter, I want milk, I want this. Add it to your cart, checkout, done, right? If you're doing grocery shopping digitally at all, right? If you're trying to shop the way women shop, right? I want to look at what is available, right? I want to go to Kohls.com and just look at the options, right? You can do it on your phone, but it's going to be easier to compare. Oh, I've shortlisted these 5 dresses. Now I want to really look at them side by side, or I want to compare pricing. I want to figure out which one to get. Again, it goes into the realm of the larger screens, which give you more flexibility to do more comparisons. So I know it sounds confusing, and maybe what I'm saying is also like, well, I need this for some things and this for other things, but that's really how it is, unfortunately, right? And so hopefully this at least gives you a sense of what you do, right? If there are certain things that you don't go to Kohls.com, you don't go to Costco, you just go to the store to buy things, then, this isn't even relevant. And that helps, hopefully that helps you determine what works for you and what doesn't work. Okay. From this point on, we get into the domain of certain things that can only exclusively be done on a certain device. Somebody had a question?
Yes. Can we just go on having some questions on this particular segment that you just finished? If anybody has any questions. I think Asmita Shah has a question probably from the previous thing, but Asmita ji, please go ahead.
Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, I had a question about photo storage. I have pictures on my phone, on my iPhone, and I know it backs up on Google Photos, and which is fine. But I also want to have them transferred on a hard disk or a flash drive, and I don't know how to do that.
Okay. So that's what I do as well. So very good question, Asmita Ben. And that's exactly what I do, because even though it gets backed up automatically to Google Photos, the quality deteriorates just a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, right? So if you want your original pictures and you want to keep them somewhere safe, it's the right thing to do. You will need, for the external hard drive, you will need a computer though. What you do is you connect the charging cable that you have, the USB charging cable, connect one end to your phone, the other end goes into your computer, And then you will, and I can maybe, this needs a little more elaborate discussion, but basically that will give you a prompt to open up the iPhone as a device on your computer. And then you can start grabbing pictures from your folders within your iPhone into your computer, right? It's a two-step process. Unfortunately, you go from your phone to your computer, and from your computer to your external hard drive. You could go from your phone directly to your external hard drive, but that's snail's slow, right? So, and that takes years, ages to do, right? And I would not recommend doing that, right? Because if the transfer fails, right, you're in hot water, right? So the two-step is better, right? Go from your phone to your computer. You also get a backup on your computer, which is safe, right? Just in case. And then from your computer to your external hard drive.
Okay. Yeah, I can create a folder in the computer and then start transferring from my phone to, I have to try that to see if that will work.
Because I mean, at some point, your phone's memory is going to run out, right? No matter how big it is. Right. And if you want to keep taking pictures, you're going to have to delete some of the old ones. Right. One other thing Google does that's really good, right, is it gives you the option to say, hey, all the backed up photos that are, if you don't want to do the whole computer external hard drive thing, Google gives you the option to delete after the backup is complete in Google Photos. That way they just go away from your phone memory as soon as the backup is complete.
Can you repeat once again, please?
So, okay. So if you're using Google Photos to back up your pictures, if you don't want to also create a second backup on an external hard drive, which is what Asmita Aunty was asking, then you can set it such that as soon as Google finishes backing up in Google Photos, it'll delete from your phone's memory.
And how you do that?
We can take notes and I can show you next time. I can have some screenshots of what you do, what settings you do to get rid of the photos from your physical device once the backup's complete.
Okay, we love that. Thank you.
Yeah, that just means you don't have to manually select those pictures and delete them every time, right?
But if we do that and then, sometime we want to go back and look on the phone, then how we pull back again?
So you go to the Google Photos app on your phone and that gives you all your photos.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right? They're not on your phone's memory. They are in the cloud in Google Photos.
Darshana Shah has a question. Darshana ji, please unmute yourself. Darshana Shah, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My question was with regard to a person having, hearing disability kind of situation. In that case, is there any app which can help? This is especially for, seniors who have hearing disability.
Yes. So broadly, any type of disability, right, in our technology world, it's called accessibility, right? So there are apps, all websites, right? And most websites and most apps have to have accessibility rules or capabilities, right? Whether you're visually impaired or hearing impaired or partially hearing impaired, partially visually impaired, right? So most apps have the ability for you to talk to it, to give it instructions if you can't type because you can't see. Same thing if you're hearing impaired, right? It will, again, with a phone, it's going to be challenging, right? Because there is no other, it's either visual, right? Which means you can see it on your screen or you can hear it, right? So you have to have one or the other, right? If you're challenged on both, then Braille is your only choice. And then that gets into a very specialized area.
Okay. So is it there on Apple? Because I've been using Apple phone for a long time and I didn't find yet. So I was wondering.
So are you talking visually challenged where it talks to you or hearing challenged where you just see bold, big letters on your phone?
I was mainly talking about hearing.
Okay. So if you're hearing challenged, if you're visually okay, then you will be able to do pretty much everything with your phone. There's very little visual or very little hearing other than notifications that make a sound, there is very little that the phone apps do that need you to listen to it, right? There's mostly about being able to see it. And if you can see it, you'd be fine.
Okay, so but for usually there is an app, you said. If somebody is visually challenged, there is an app.
So there are apps. There is also the phone itself has capabilities. You can turn the settings to say, instead of, because I can't see, when I get a call or when I get a message, vibrate foot.
Right.
Right. Things like that. Right. So there are accessibility capabilities inbuilt into the phone as well.
Okay.
Right. So depending on what you need to do, if you, or we can talk, or you can give us feedback and we can get some very detailed, say, I want to do this and I have this impairment, help me out on how I should do it. Then we can get into the specifics.
Okay.
But yes, it's certainly something that is available and is in a lot of apps that are working, like banking apps, for instance, or any government setups, right? They need to have accessibility. It's a requirement, right? So the apps that I build at Oracle, accessibility is a thing that we need to make sure it's capable of doing.
I see. Okay. So I'm sure in Apple also it has in settings you said.
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely. Which is why I'm saying that the device itself has capabilities. If you tell us exactly what you're trying to accomplish, we can give you tips on how to set it up.
Okay. So like on my Apple, how can I do it? I have never tried for visually challenged.
So your phone can vibrate for you. If you're trying to say, give me an indication that is non-visual for when I get a call or when I get a message.
Okay.
It'll vibrate for you.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you can't see it, but you can hear it and you can feel it.
Oh, I see. Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I just have a question, Hemal, from me. The safety of doing all these things on the phone. I'm still like old kind of person that I don't want to do banking and buying and all those things on my phone. I will just go to my desktop and do it there. So how safe is that? Because it just gives me the feeling that it is not safe enough. So what are the things that we have to be careful about to be feeling safe about it?
Same things that you would do on your PC, you need to do on your computer, right? There are certain things, and we've done this digital security session before, right? Where, which websites are you going to? Make sure it's a reliable place, right? Don't go to random places just because it's $5 cheaper, right? Don't try and buy from some random place, right? Especially if you're giving your credit card information. There are also, now there are one-time use virtual cards available, right? Your credit card company will give you a virtual card, which has a randomized number that is only to be used one time, right? You want to buy from a random place, use that virtual card, because even if they steal it, they can't do anything with it, right? But these are things that are just blanket things you need to be careful about. Phones, in fact, like I said, I mean, you think about Windows computers and the number of viruses you hear about every day, right? There aren't as many, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but there aren't as many Apple phone viruses yet, right? That's a fairly tightly closed and secure setup by itself. There is facial ID recognition, which most of your computers don't have, right? The apps, these banking apps, right? So my Chase Bank app has facial ID recognition, right? So even if somebody gets my phone, that app will not open without my Face ID, right? So there's layers of security, which I feel makes it more secure, in fact. It's just about perceptions, right? You're right. I mean, a lot of us are old school. We feel like, oh my God, I don't know if this is secure, but it is.
Okay, thank you so much. It really makes me feel better.
Sure, happy to.
Okay,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How safe it is in Apple iPad? Do you have to have a virus security, like, in computer we put the, to secure
antivirus.
Do we have to do it for the Apple iPad also?
Not yet. You just have to keep the operating system. So you get those notifications sometimes, right? iOS 15 is ready to install, iOS 16 is ready to install, 16.1 is ready to install, do those.
Okay, but I don't really require to have a...
No, I mean, you can, it will help, right? But it's not necessary.
Okay, so I mean, my question is that Apple is more secure than Windows system?
That's a tricky question. If you keep your Windows operating system and your antivirus software up to date, then your computer is just as secure as your iPad and your iPhone. Okay. Most people don't buy antivirus on their computers, or if they buy it, they buy that 1-year trial version and then they never pay for it, or they never keep upgrading it on a regular basis. That is why Windows laptops and PCs are riskier. If you keep your antivirus software updated, and if you're doing basic things with your computer, it's as secure as your iPad and your iPhone.
Okay, then my question is that I do have a virus security on my computer, and the company is telling me that if you have another iPad or phone, you can secure it. So my question is it good to go through them again to secure all these things? Because, you know, iPad is the Apple and computer is the Windows.
Right,
so,
right.
So if I use their security system, should I enroll my iPad to them?
It depends. It depends on your appetite for risk, honestly, and what you do on your iPad and your iPhone, right? If you're doing a lot of banking, and if you don't want to take even 1% chance, then yes, secure it, because you just bluntly putting it, right? It can't hurt. It can only help.
Okay.
Right? But if it's going to cost you $20 a month and you'd rather not pay that, it's okay too. It's not something I say you must do. You see what I mean, right? It's not an absolutely must do. Like antivirus on your Windows computer, must have. Yeah. On your Apple devices, not mandatory. Certainly not. I mean, good to have.
Okay.
Not must have, good to have. That's how I would put it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So, what is the next section now?
Okay. All right. So now we get into the things that require specialized devices, right? So creativity, right? Now, by creativity, I mean you want to, do a fashion design project. You want to create movies, videos, TikTok videos. You want to edit photos, right? You want to remove blurs. You want to remove glares. You want to start to, get into the technicalities of things, right? You have a design project. You want to publish something, write a paper, right? All of these things require, in my opinion, a computer, because there needs to be, the larger screen for sure, right? You could also have a large iPad, right? Or large Android device, right? The other thing that really helps with this type of creativity type of work is having a DigiPen, right? So whether you have a computer with a DigiPen, right, where you can draw or take notes right on the screen, or you have a tablet with a pen, right? But that really is the focus here, right? You get into creativity area, you want a device that can support a DigiPen, right? The other area is work. I mean, there's just no way I could get my work done on anything but a computer, right? And not just a regular computer, something with a lot of power, high performance, long battery lives, because I go from meeting to meeting to meeting. I can't afford to have it get plugged in, it needs to last me the whole day, right? And then a high level of security, right? Because now we are talking corporate assets on these computers at work, right? So security, battery life, performance, and a lot of power. Right? That goes into the area for into the requirements for having a work computer. It has to be a computer. Nobody can be productive at work. I mean, any kind of work, right? Even if you're a doctor and you're trying to type in notes at the end of your patient appointment, you're not going to be able to do it on anything but a computer, mostly. Right? Another area of specialized need is gaming, right? Professional gamers or kids in your family, they'll tell you, right, that there's either the dedicated gaming consoles like Nintendo Switch and Xbox, or there are high-powered PCs that are dedicated for gaming PCs, right? Because they need to have the ability to do near real-time video streaming. Right? If you are playing a group game and if your computer isn't fast enough to keep up with it, that experience is just terrible otherwise, right? So that's another example. Education. So whether you're a teacher or a student, right, you are going to, again, need a device that has touch screen, has a long battery life, and has the ability for you to have a large screen, because you're either attending classes virtually, or you're taking notes, or you're submitting homework assignments, or you're trying to look at your teaching resources. None of this will work in a small form factor phone device, right? It has to be either a high-powered tablet with a pen and with a touch screen, or a computer. Okay, so this kind of, brings us to where I want to start a discussion with, did I cover what you were hoping for me to cover? What else would you like to talk about? And then we'll go into the conclusion where we'll talk about the pros and cons for the different types of devices.
I think, in my opinion, you have done an excellent job in covering whatever is a basic for the computer, a lot of information. I'll keep it open for everyone to suggest if anything else they would like to, what they would like to know about for the next time, or any other things that they would like to cover. Next time, Hemal, I don't know what you have prepared for. Could you just talk about that before we go into details of what everybody wants?
Sure. So let me just wrap up this, right? So let's just go through what I think of as, as a conclusion, right? So phones or mobile devices, right? So some of the pros or advantages, like portability, right? You can't, obviously, a desktop computer, you can't move it at all, right? You're not going to just take the whole thing and move around, right? Laptops potentially, but they still have limitations. You can't walk around with them. So portability, security, we already talked about how mobile devices, in my opinion, already have built-in security. Ease of access, everybody has one already. You don't even have to think about it, right? And then the generation that we live in, instant gratification, to turn it on, right? With a computer, you have to boot it up, wait for it, and all of that, right? This is just right there at your fingertips. On the other side, right? So some of this we've already talked about, right? Disadvantages of phones or advantages of computers, right? The screen size, right? The real estate you get to work with in terms of, the availability of the larger screen. If you're connected to a monitor, then, the sky's the limit in terms of the size or the number of monitors you can have. I have 3 monitors at work, right? All set up. So it just gets you to be a lot more productive because you've got a lot of screens. Storage. So phones will always get limited at some point in terms of, what you can, even if you have a terabyte phone, right? It's going to run out of storage at some point. Computers have a lot more and you can add on more, right? Performance. When you get to doing some really high powered things, the computer, is going to beat the phone any day. And then ease of data entry, right? If you're trying to write a paper, or trying to write code, or trying to submit, a long paragraph or something, try doing it on your phone, right? It's just so annoying to try and type on that virtual keyboard with those little keys. So that's just, in conclusion, right? My summary for pros and cons for the 2 types that we've really dug into today. So
I think Darshana Shah has a question. Maybe we could answer that question before we go for that.
Go ahead.
Darshana ji?
Yeah, hi. I don't know whether you have answered this, but maybe I joined in a little late. I just wanted to know how safe it is to use the mobile phone in public Wi-Fi.
So public Wi-Fi is a problem. I would say don't open your bank apps. Don't try to shop where you have to pay with a credit card, right? Don't try to do any of those things on public Wi-Fi, right? If you are on a public Wi-Fi and you're trying to use GPS, it's okay. If you're trying to send messages that are not sensitive, it's okay, right? But trying to do anything that is going to have personal information or bank information or credit card information, right? That's not safe.
Right. Okay.
Okay, because there is no way to guarantee that there's other people aren't essentially catching or watching what you're doing, right? Whatever you're sending and receiving can be captured and it's not safe. It's not secure.
True. Okay. And
if you have to use public Wi-Fi though, and I don't know if you even know what this is, right? But if you have to use public Wi-Fi, you could use a VPN.
VPN. Right? Oh, okay.
That makes it safer, right? Because then it kind of creates a tunnel within the public Wi-Fi that is secure.
What is VPN?
So virtual private network, right? So there are access, but there are also a lot of apps and options available for everybody to use VPN. All you do is download an app, turn it on, and then it gives you a layer of security that is amazing.
Now, the main
we can talk about the details of what. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. The public Wi-Fi, by public Wi-Fi, I mean like airports, like you're traveling, and like in those scenarios, like now that you're working remotely.
You can use it for, I mean, like you want to send a WhatsApp or a text message or, any of those basic things, no problems, right? You're trying to check into your to your plane, no problem, right?
Okay.
But it's the sensitive things that I would not recommend.
I'm always
and if you must do something sensitive, right, then just get on a VPN.
Sure. Okay.
Hemal, is it possible for you to next time talk on VPN? Because I'm not very much. Because when we go for a public Wi-Fi, we just get, like, suppose we talk about the airport, we just look for the airport free Wi-Fi. We never look for VPN.
Exactly.
No, you won't get VPN for free, right? You'll have to pay for it. It's not free, but, and there are a few free VPN apps, but they have limited capabilities. But we can talk about VPNs for sure.
Okay. Hemal, I have one question. We talk about the Apple Mac laptop and computer, but I find whenever I try to use Mac, I find it's very difficult to use it because I'm so used to a window. Yes. Mac, I find that whatever I'm doing, sometimes the things disappear from the screen because it goes at the bottom. So how do you make yourself comfortable with Mac?
Keep using it, right? If your goal is to get comfortable, use it more and more, right? That's the only way to get comfortable, right? It's very different. And I mentioned this earlier when I introduced the two operating systems, right? That it's hard. I had the option of getting a Mac at work, and I was like, heck no, because my productivity will drop because I will take so much time, so much longer to get used to the Mac, right? I mean, it's great. I would love to. I just don't think for work it makes sense, right? Just because the comfort level is so much lower, right? I mean, I feel like with a Windows PC, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, but they say Mac is more secure than Windows. Is that true?
Absolutely. 100% true. More secure. And once you get used to it, also very powerful.
Yeah, so that's why I want to go into the Mac, but something is stopping me going to the Mac.
Try it, right? I mean, that's what I would recommend, right? I mean, if you're not, productivity is not an issue, right? Then if it takes you 20 minutes to do something on the Windows PC and it'll take you 30 minutes, and if you're okay with that, model through it and you'll come out stronger on the other side, right?
So we have a question from Asmita ji. She had put her hand up before. So do you have any questions, Asmita ji? Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead.
Somebody else is talking to me.
Yeah, I'm going to mute them. Go ahead. I muted them.
Okay. Is it safe to use public Wi-Fi, like, the other person was saying, especially at the airport, to check your emails? I know I wouldn't go into my financial stuff on the email, but to check the regular emails. Is that safe to do so?
Sure, as long as there's nothing super sensitive that you're trying to send or receive, right? So here's how I would think about it, right? So the public Wi-Fi, you can think of the internet as this big tunnel that's sending and receiving information, right? If it's your home network, then you have it password protected, which means other people are not on your tunnel, It's just you and your family's traffic that's going, right? I mean, eventually everything goes and merges into this big tunnel, right? But I mean, at least you're secure when you're sending and receiving, right? And nobody can figure out what you sent or what you received, right? When you are in the public Wi-Fi's, right? Somebody could be capturing the signals on that public Wi-Fi, right? And again, it sounds all James Bondy, right? But it's possible. And that's why it's not secure, right? But if you're not sending, if you have bank emails on your phone downloaded already, and you're not opening those, then you're okay, right? If you're just sending a random email, you're okay, right? But if, I don't know how to explain this, right? So if you're downloading emails in a public Wi-Fi, using a public Wi-Fi location, and you're downloading your sensitive emails at that time, there's a little bit of a risk, right? But if you're not, if you're already there, then you're okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm opening my email, my Gmail, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'm reading my emails that I have received. So if it's an email from the bank, I won't open it because then there is a, you know, it's risk to do that, right? Right. But say I got an email from my relative and I'm opening that. That is okay to do that, right?
Perfectly okay to do that.
Okay. Or from the airlines that, you know, your flight is delayed or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
Perfectly okay to do that.
So,
okay. Thank you.
Darshanaji, do you have any question because your hand is up? Or you're done? That has been answered.
Mamtaji, I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes, we will have to wrap it up soon. So go ahead.
I just like to request for the next time, is it possible to take more into the work computer and little bit highlights on the creativity? Because, you know, that helps sometimes when we have to create some documents on the computer and, you know, do some, you know, bordering to the documents and all that. If you can just give us a very brief session on that.
Producing the flyers, kind of.
Yes,
sure.
Something
Sure, sure, happy to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one second. Let me ask Hemal. Hemal, do you have any idea what you're going to do next? Have you prepared for something, and then we can go with whatever the audience wants? There must be some structured thing already prepared by you for the next one.
I have some thoughts, but no, I would like to tailor it according to whatever the audience is looking for best. So
have you taken that thing down? Because Kalpana ji wants the document production kind of creativity
work.
Yeah, Kirtida Ben, have you been taking notes? Because I have not been, but I'm hoping that she has been.
Yes, I'm doing it.
Awesome. Yes. So then that helps.
And the second topic was VPN.
VPN. Also, the other thing was to the talk to in Gujarati. You know the.
Yes. Yes.
You remember in the beginning. Speech to text
for Gujarati. Yes.
Yeah, that is another one that they were looking for.
Yep.
And then Google Photo app.
Yeah, the photo storage and photo moving of the photo. I think maybe that is one demonstration you have to give as to how to do it from one device to the other, kind of. Right?
Absolutely.
That's what they're saying.
Yep.
And what else we can talk about for next time? Anybody has anything? Please, our email address is in the.
This is Asmita. With the creativity going on the creativity side, I would like to learn, like, when you download an image from the web, you know how people are sending happy birthday messages, but then they download an image, and then in that image they put like happy birthday Hemal, like that. So I want to learn how to do that.
Sure.
Because I've tried, but I have not been successful.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Yep.
There's a lot to learn, but I would really appreciate everyone. Please take down our email address and send your suggestions, what you would like to look at or learn about in next 2 weeks, so that she can prepare for you, so that you could learn from her at the next time. Our email address is women committee at jaina.org. And I have written that in the chat. Please take that down and please send your questions or whatever you want to know on that one so that we will be able to provide you the right information that you need and help you out with whatever you want to do with your computers to feel better with that and get empowered with that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And that helps. There were a couple people that still have their hands up. Are there other questions?
Hema, do you have any?
Yeah. Hemal, my question was, in some of the instances, we may require like a person-to-person, like a face-to-face, one-to-one. Would you be able to consider like giving personal lessons or something like that?
I think whatever your questions are, I'm sure other people will benefit from them as well. Because, we are all going through similar stages in life. So let's make it a group session. Let's have everybody benefit from it.
Let me tell you one thing. We as a women committee are trying to establish digital clinics, which will be like hands-on experience for everyone who needs to know what to do with that, which we had advertised and talked about and written about in the Jaina newsletter. And we had asked all the centers to please have it once a month where youngsters can give that and we will support that and they can get the volunteer hours. But we are not getting anywhere with that. But if you guys take lead and talk to your center people and try to get this together, we will help you out establish the digital clinics at your center, which will be very much hands-on, person-to-person help given for the computers, mobile devices, whatever you need. But we need help from the community to help us help you. I would really appreciate that. So
Thank you. We will try. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll reach
out to
our,
those can be really very, very tactical, right? To say, I'm trying to do this and I'm struggling, help me out, right? So those are very hands-on, you bring your device and, we sit down in a room at, whichever center there is a location and figure it out.
I think, Hemal, you should spend one whole day in one center. That will be so useful. It is so interesting. Even though we don't know anything.
No, I don't think I'm an expert either, but we can certainly.
Hemal, where are you located? You're in Chicago. Right?
Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Anytime soon you're traveling to New York?
No plans right now. But we have a lot of very talented young people in New York that can help you.
Young. And that is what we're trying to get done. But that is, that is one thing that I really would love to have that established. It will be really great. Yes. And actually, to be honest with you, I was talking to some non-Jain people and the church-going people, and they were like so much taken over by that idea that they probably would like to do that at their own churches, which is, we are trying to do. So let's see what we can get done with that. But right now, we are going to have with the group sessions, and next one will be next month. And we would like to get your things in our Jaina email, so that we can answer all the questions and whatever we can get done for you. Yes, Leelabin, you have any question?
Unmute yourself, Auntie, please.
Please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Oh, are you from Patan, Hemal?
My husband's family is. Yeah.
Can you say what's the name? I'm from Patan, that's why. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My father-in-law's name is Vijendra Patni. They are from Pune.
No.
Originally from Patan, but for many generations they have been in Maharashtra.
I see. Okay, nice talking to you.
So anyone else has question? Darshana Shah, your hand is still up.
Yes, sorry, Hemal, I have just one last question. On phone we take snapshots, correct? So like whenever you are looking at some YouTube video on the Facebook, you take snapshot. So when I take snapshot, do the person on the other hand would know my IP address, or do they know that I have taken a snapshot?
On FaceTime, when you take a picture while you're on FaceTime, the other party does get notified. So I think it depends on which app you're on and what you're doing, right? I mean, if you're on Facebook looking at somebody's timeline or something and you try to take a screenshot of that, I doubt that they get notified.
On the Facebook, when you see those videos or those reels or some recipes, something, you take a snapshot. So you're
basically just taking a screenshot, right? You're doing a screen capture, right? So I don't think so. I'm not a Facebook user, so I'm not 100% certain, but I don't think so.
Okay, because sometimes you get worried, like, and hope that they don't capture my IP address.
No, IP address for sure, no. Notifications, so sometimes, right? So for instance, FaceTime, right? So if you are in a FaceTime video chat with somebody and you take a picture of them while you are FaceTiming them, they get notified that you took a picture.
Yeah, I think FaceTime do have that.
Yeah, so certain apps have that, but I don't think if you're taking a screenshot of somebody's reel, for instance, right, that they'll get notified. I don't think so.
Okay.
Hemal, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Leela. Okay. Like on the phone, like sometimes I get the forms and I want to file it, or like how do you file certain things from the form?
Can you give me an example of what type of form? Google Doc or Google Forms, Jot Forms? What type of form?
Yeah, Google Form.
So when you finish filling it, right, there will usually at the end of that screen or at the end of that form, there'll be a save or a send or something or a share button, right? That's what you would do, right? But if there's something that doesn't have anything, then, send us the details and we can figure out what's going on.
Like, for example, like if I'm supposed to be filling out every week, so I want to save the form, they send me an email with the form. How would I save it on the phone? So
if it's a different form each time, then you cannot. Same form, then you can bookmark it. If it's a Google form, you can just, if you can just take a note, right? I mean, how to bookmark things, right? On your computer as well as on your phone. We can go over that.
Okay. And the other thing is I use iPad instead of my laptop or desktop. So would you go into that little detail about how to use like for Excel file and those things? Or is it too much?
It's an Apple iPad?
Yes.
So there are some limitations, right? Because Microsoft products don't by default work on Apple devices, right? You would have to work with either Google Sheets and Google Docs, right? Or you'll have to get an app, which you might have to pay for.
Right.
So, but we can talk about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It is very nice. Any other questions? We have some couple of suggestions for next time topic in our chat, so which I have taken down. So which will be very nice to have. And anybody else has, please let us know. As I told you, there's an email address given to you guys. And anybody has any questions? Otherwise, we will just take one more question if we have, but we will like to conclude then. It's almost going to be 9:30 now. New York time I'm talking about. Anyone else has? Leela, Ben?
Yes.
No, thanks. It was excellent presentation. And very clear, very informative.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell the same thing that Hemal, that was excellent. I didn't know quite a few things, so that I kind of got a little bit of, because I mean, I was educated way before you guys came. So, I'm still missing a few things here and there, but basically you're explaining it very nicely. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Means a lot.
Excellent
presentation was.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. Excellent everything. And Kirtida, you would like to take over for vote of thanks now, please?
Yes, sure, Mamta Ben. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's session. On behalf of Jaina Women's Committee, I would like to thank Ms. Hemal Patni for a wonderful presentation. Hemal, we really appreciate you taking time on a weeknight to help educate us and take the right steps to become savvy digital users in today's fast-changing environment. And I would also like to take a moment to thank Jaina for providing us the platform and also the tech support in bringing these sessions to our audience. And to our audience, we really thank you for attending this evening, and hope we answered all your questions. And we have also noted down the questions that you have for us, and which Hemalben will answer in the upcoming sessions that we'll have in April and May. And to my fellow members of the Jaina Women's Committee, I say thank you for being part of the team and always participating and motivating each other. So over to you, Mamtaben.
Thank you very much. And next one is that Kirtita, you had the date for the next one. It's
April 26th. It's April 26th.
So next one is going to be on April 26th, and all your questions will be answered on that day, whatever we have from today, which are not answered.
Come up with more in that one, so we can keep doing this.
more suggestions for the topics, and we will try to make sure that we go on with those things. Thank you so very much, everyone, for being here. And everybody who is having the ambil or any kind of thing, please.
Thank you very much for everything. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mamtaben, for organizing this.
Yes, Mamtaji, thank you very much.
This is our committee. Everybody is together. And I'm very happy we are working very well. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Mamta.
Can you put the email address on the board?
I have put it on the chart.
I think it's a flyer also. In the flyer also.
In the flyer also we have womencommittee@jaina.org.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hemalben. Thank you. Very informative, very nice. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Thank you.
You made a very difficult topic very easy to understand, to basics and everything. So it was very nice. Thank you.
Okay. I'm glad that it did justice to the expectations, because like I was saying, right, it's an ocean and it's hard to figure out where to start, right? Sometimes
I was wondering what is going to happen, how she's going to present it. You came out so well. Oh my God.
Really excellent job. Excellent.
I had the same question, Emma, when you started. I said, I don't know how she's going to make a scratch in this big, wide ocean, because there's so much information about all these things. Yeah.
That's right. But it was very interactive, lot of questions, which is great, right? I feel as a speaker, I feel good that, there was interest and there
I
was,
didn't even expect
engagement.
that many questions might come, but it was very nice to know people do use things and they are really into it and they want to know more.
Right, and even the questions for what to cover next time. I mean, I think we have a good enough list already, so I don't need to think too much now, right? I just need to follow your lead.
Hemalji, you will get more questions still.
I'm happy to. That help makes my job easier, because now I don't have to come up with content on my own, right? So
and you explained it so clearly. It's like getting more deeper into it now.
Yes, absolutely, right. And I think that's when it'll start to get more interactive and more interesting, right? Because at the basics, most people know, but when you start to do something, that's when you start feeling like, oh, I'm struggling to do this, I'm struggling to do that. So we can
there's so much to learn. Like I think I have also mentioned in the chat about learning about the Google Drive, how to use Google Drive, though it's very common, but I don't know much about it. So
we have taken down everything from the chat, so we will
we'll try to cover as much as we can.
Okay. So thank you everyone. I think this is it, and I'm going to end the meeting now. And
thank you.
Enjoy your month, and we'll see you next month on 26th of April. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye all.